Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It is Wednesday, December 4th, and I'm going to call to order the North Topsail Beach Board of Aldermen regular meeting. And I'm going to ask everybody to just make sure their cell phones are on silent, please. I appreciate that. And we're going to move to the invocation with Alderman Grant. The Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, the next item would be a request for the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And
So moved. Second.
Second, okay, for discussion purposes, is there any discussion around the agenda items?
Yes, I'd like to remove E from the consent agenda, fixed asset disposal, police department.
Okay, and is it just removed altogether to be placed on next month's agenda?
Right now, to be removed altogether.
Okay. All right, so we have a first and a second motion, and then we have a request to change the agenda. Is everybody okay with that, or any other additional comments?
So to clarify, the motion is to approve the agenda with the removal of the item from the consent agenda. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's your motion, Laura?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I need a new motion?
No, I don't think so. I just to clarify.
Okay.
Just
All
want
in-
to clarify.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll remove that item from today's agenda. Okay, we're going to move on to the manager's report. I know Ms. Darian has been just a little bit busy, so let's see.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. The majority of my report today is going to revolve around, of course, beach operations and projects that we have going on. First off, the Army Corps project. I worked with the property owner to acquire the last remaining right of entry agreement for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers upcoming dredge project. I had a call with them on November 15th, who indicated they needed the last agreement within 2 weeks, or the project would be diverted elsewhere. The Army Corps Navigation Branch will conduct dredging of the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway and channels to Jacksonville and place beach-compatible material along the Phase 1 shoreline. Approximately 88,000 cubic yards will be pumped by pipeline and placed along, it's going to start approximately around 2342 New River Inlet Road and work south approximately 2,000 to 4,000 feet. It's anticipated that the nourishment may, and I capitalize may on that because we really don't know until they start, may extend down to around Porpoise Place. Once again, this is an Army Corps of Engineer permitted, funded, and constructed project, and the town does have limited input into project construction. We anticipate the project starting between December 5th and mid-December and work to continue for 30 days. I issued the project announcement on this initiative last week.
And Alice, I know just from past projects, it does, just to set expectations, which is why I know you put may in capital letters, but typically it doesn't seem to get much further than the reef.
Correct. The last 2 years, historically, it has not. But, you know, I felt compelled to communicate it. In their, showing their map goes to Porpoise Place. That's,
Okay.
they set the project extension, so.
Okay.
But historically, yes, they have not made it the last 2 years down to there, but they don't know until they start pumping. We're hopeful that it will, but we just don't know that it might reach that far.
Just real quick, thank you for the work you did on this. I was halfway convinced this was dead until you stepped, because they basically said if we didn't get one property owner to give the right of way to go in there, the whole thing was gonna go to Ocean?
Onslow Beach.
Onslow Beach. So we would have missed 88,000 cubic yards of beach sand. So, nice job, thank you.
Division of Coastal Management Beach Assessment, November 20th, DCM and staff met on the beach to review properties near Porpoise Place up to the Reef Complex, to view decks and compromised pools. Staff is currently working with DCM on a letter that will go to affected property owners outlining the permitting options. So work is in progress on that. The Phase 4 project, we anticipate the contractor will start early December, even as early as tomorrow potentially, starting the south end of Phase 4, which is around 3686 Island Drive, and they will work north approximately 8,000 feet. Work will continue until May 1st of 2025 and will place approximately 160,000 cubic yards of sand. Trucks will access the beach through the 2nd Avenue access, which is beach access number 28 at 518 Topsail Road. This will be at our crossover and is the crossover that has been used in past projects. The project announcement will be issued today. And I did confirm yesterday with the engineer, with Fran, that the contractor will stay within the footprint of our crossover and not take out anything and expand any further than necessary.
You want to discuss the contractor?
No. Potential tropical cyclone number 8. I reported at the November meeting that I had submitted our request for public assistance for a dune project that would be based on sand losses surveyed for PTC 8. I received notification on November 20th that our request for public assistance was approved, and they requested signatures on a funding agreement. The funding agreement, that is a little bit misleading because it's essentially a designation of applicant's agent and applicant assurances for public assistance, but does not indicate any dollar amount or obligate the funds. I requested clarification on this to determine what we can and cannot do yet. I didn't want to waste a month's time waiting till the next meeting, but do what we can do on the front end so that we were prepared to, in position to start when we can. I had to request clarification, which I did receive in writing yesterday. As I said, we have not received the funding, have not been awarded the funding yet. They are in the beginning stages of their public assistance process, and prior to being awarded, FEMA needs to have meetings, assess damages in order to obligate the funds to the town for the project. As of recently, FEMA did, like I said, approve the request for public assistance. Next, they will be reaching out to me to schedule our exploratory call and recovery scoping meeting. Those are the next steps of the process. This will also help FEMA to determine the amount of funding the town will be obligated. We are able to issue and release an RFP, but are not in the position to start any physical work yet. I've asked Finance to complete the budget amendment, which is included on today's consent agenda, that essentially adopts the ordinance, so work can commence once all the approvals are received from the state. This ordinance establishes the project budget to account for the revenues and expenses that are expected to be incurred for the project in the amount of $2,974 and $2.9 million. Fran has been asked to prepare a request for proposals and also provide a timeline. I've received various communications from members of the board who've been receiving inquiries over the past couple weeks for clarification on what exactly this project is and what we have been doing. PTC 8 is the unnamed storm that came through on September 16th. This FEMA project will only place sand surveyed as lost during PTC 8, which means any sand that was lost following this storm event, which was from king tides or the coastal low front that came through, will not be part of this project. It's only sand surveyed as lost for PTC number 8. This project will be covered with 75% federal funds, 25% state funds, and just like other storms that we've had in the past, the town pays up front and then we submit for reimbursement, which is the same process, and reimbursement, as we know, historically has been slow. I have engaged our contractor who is assisting with finance department responsibilities to take on additional finance officer duties to include delving into the town's FEMA portal to determine what invoices have been paid for past current events that need to be submitted for reimbursement, funds outstanding from FEMA and or state from past current events. In the absence of the finance director, I've recently gone in, removed old names, added myself, and submitted a letter to the state to add the vendor assisting us with finance duties. So I have submitted the request for assistance on this project, like I've mentioned. However, once funds are obligated, I want to ensure that we have someone tracking everything so that everything is submitted in a timely manner. We are moving as fast as the process allows. Below is a log of my activity for the board surrounding PTC 8 as it relates to agency communications and requests for engineering survey and obtaining cost estimates. I'm not going to read all this because, as you can see, there has been daily communications and activity from September 16th through yesterday to get us to where we are today with this event.
This will be posted too.
Yes.
But one point that I'd like to clarify for everyone is that the sand can be placed either in the berm or on the dune, or will all the sand from the FEMA project go into dune restoration work?
It's a dune project.
So it's strictly a dune project,
Yes.
repair the dunes? Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
It's not an engineer beach, that's all.
Yeah. Any other questions regarding PTC number 8?
No, I just appreciate all the time that you've put into that in even getting us FEMA reimbursement for it. But thank you.
Stormwater projects. Included under consent agenda is the budget ordinance for the stormwater projects and approval for W.K. Dixon to create and design plans and complete the engineering design of the 2 critical areas that were determined to be Richard Peters Park and the area near Fire Station number 2, which is on Gray Street. While work has been done obtaining the grant and approving the agreement with the engineers, this will be the official start of the project. I submitted our first quarterly report to the state, and now we will be proceeding with W.K. Dixon and starting to incur expenses for this project.
Does that get tracked on the capital project?
Yes, yes. Roadway repairs. The roadway shoulder repair to River Drive was completed before the Thanksgiving holiday. The original contractor it was scheduled had equipment failures among various other issues. So I moved on to the next contractor and the repairs have since been completed. Fire Station number 2, owner architect contractor meetings. They continue on a bi-weekly basis. Work is progressing. I'll provide a more detailed report at the next meeting. I didn't want to take time to on that for this particular meeting, since we're already, we've got a lot going on with the beach. Holiday season, our 3rd annual Christmas tree lighting was held on Wednesday, November 20th here at Town Hall. Just want to say thank you again to the staff that helped set up for the event, and for everyone that came out. Girl Scout Troop number 361, First United Methodist Church at Sneed's Ferry Choir, Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Hospital, and Share the Table. So thank you to everyone who participated. The Christmas tree, or Christmas light recycling initiative is underway. The bin to recycle Christmas tree string lights is out here at Town Hall at the front door. So that will be here until after Christmas. So anyone that has string lights that no longer work, they can drop them off here where they will be recycled. The Christmas tree recycling initiative is also underway. If you buy a real Christmas tree for the holidays, you will be able to recycle it by dropping it off at the Jeffries parking lot, 316 New River Inlet Road. Make sure it is undecorated, please. I say that because it's happened.
So you wouldn't just recycle it?
So, no.
The light sign, you can do the recycling of both of them.
There you go.
Two birds with one stone.
But you'll be able to drop those trees, undecorated trees, off between December 26th and January 13th at the Jeffries parking lot. We just ask that you drop it off in the designated area. It'll be cordoned off with a sign that lets you know where to drop those. Free mulch will be available for pickup after January 16th. Letters
Where's that gonna be?
at the Jeffries parking lot.
Okay.
Letters to Santa, mailbox has been set up in the lobby of Town Hall to mail your letters to Santa this year. If you would like a response, please be sure to include your child's name and address. Letters must be in the box by December 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the
I
board?
went as fast as I could.
You did. That's good.
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
When we were down at the North Carolina Beach Inlet and Waterways Conference, middle of last month, I had the opportunity to see the manager in action regarding the core federal project and the work she did, both on the phone with the property owner, and I was particularly impressed with how she cornered one of the Corps of Engineers employees who had just finished giving a briefing about how he liked to work with everybody, worked well with everybody, and we're all in this together. And I don't think he was quite expecting to get ambushed as he walked out of the room by the town manager in the fashion that he did. But it worked out really well, and you did really, really well down there for that. I got to see firsthand what this person does when we throw something like that and it starts to go haywire, and how hard she worked to get that project back on track. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next item is open forum. Do we have anybody who signed up?
Nobody has signed up for the first forum.
Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak at the first open forum? Okay, moving on. Public presentations and hearings. The first presentation is Austin Eubanks from CFE at Thompson, Price, Scott, and Adamant Company for our presentation of our audit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. My name is Austin Eubanks. I'm the audit manager at Thompson, Price, Scott & Adams in our Wilmington office, and we had the pleasure of auditing North Topsail Beach for the fiscal year end June 30th, 2024. Next slide, please. So we'll go straight through for some required communications. Our responsibilities fall under the generally accepted auditing standards, government auditing standards, OMB uniform guidance, and the State Single Audit Implementation Act. We were able to design and provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material error and in compliance with government regulations. We were able to perform all our planned procedures and have complete access to both management and required information. This year, for significant deficiencies in internal control, there was a non-compliance to the budgetary line item that I will discuss momentarily. So there was no new changes in accounting policies this year. Management's judgments and accounting estimates were deemed reasonable, as they should be. Financial statement disclosures were deemed neutral, consistent, and clear, and we did not have any significant audit adjustments or unrecorded differences. We did not have any disagreements with management. There was no outside consultation used and no prior retention issues. We did not have any difficulties while performing the audit. We did not find any irregularities or illegal acts, and no other findings or issues as well. So moving right into the general fund. Next slide, please. So total revenues and other financing sources, you collected $10,143,045 for the general fund. The total expenditures and other financing sources, you spent $5.7 million, right at $5.8 million. Then giving you a positive net change of $4,346,000. One of the metrics that LGC likes to utilize is a minimum undesignated fund balance. And for a town of your size, normally they want to see a minimum threshold of 34%. That would be right at $2 million for the unassigned fund balance. However, your fund balance or unassigned fund balance is $11,231,000, so well over that. That puts your percentage of general fund expenditures at right at 195%. Again, minimum threshold being 34%. And I looked this morning at the metric, normal for other towns in the area, your size are around 44%, so you're well above that threshold. The tax collection rate for the fiscal year overall was 99.13%. So this is a 4-year bar graph summary. So you see each year increasing your revenues while keeping the expenditures relatively the same. However, this year you had a really good year with that $10,143,000 of revenues. So looking at your revenues for the general fund, for your operating side, the ad valorem taxes, you collected $4.3 million, made up 43% of the total revenues. Your unrestricted intergovernmental, which is your sales and use tax and other franchise fees, was you collected right at $3.6 million, that made up 35%. Your sales and services right at $900,000, that made up 9%. And all the revenues combined was $1.3 million, and that's your interest income of right at $975,000. Your restricted intergovernmental of $160,000, and permits and fees of $207,000. So moving on to your general fund expenditures for the operations. The public safety department, as always, you spent the most in that department, right at $2.8 million and made up 49%. General government, right at $2.2 million, 38%. Your sanitation department, you spent $542,000, and all other expenditures combined was $194,000. That's your street department, you spent $157,000, and your community development, $29,000. So again, looking at your fund balance for the general fund is exactly what you want to see, as long as there's no major programs or capital projects that the general fund's operating or spending money on. You want to see this general fund fund balance continually going up. Not only the total fund balance, but you want to see that green bar, the available, to go up as well. So again, this year a significant jump up to $12,094,000 for your total fund balance. However, your available fund balance increased significantly as well. You have $11,231,000. However, the committed, assigned, or restricted fund balance was $862,000. That's a state stabilization of $794,000, and your POW bill funds that was unexpended at the year of $68,000. So moving on to, again, that metric that LGC likes to utilize is the fund balance available as percentage to general fund expenditures. It's exactly what you want to see again, that steady increase. Again, I want to reiterate that minimum threshold is only 34%, and you're right at 195%. So this basically means if you were not to collect any more revenues for the general fund, as of June 30th, 2024, you can still operate with the normal capacity and normal expenditures for almost for right at 24 months. So moving off from the general fund to your shoreline protection fund, your total revenues and other financing sources, you collected $6,168,000. Your total expenditures, you spent $3.4 million, giving you a positive net change of $2.7 million, bringing that net position up to $14.5 million. Moving on, looking at the American Rescue.
I would wait till the end if you don't mind.
Okay. The American Rescue Plan Fund, there was a transfer out of this fund of $200,383. And this was a budget violation. You did not budget for that transfer, and that was set off the revenues of $200,383, essentially eliminating all your ARPA money. Moving on to your beach maintenance project fund. Your total revenues and other financing sources, you collected $13,109,000. However, this is $7.5 million of a FEMA reimbursement and $5.25 million of NCDQ grant money. Your total expenditures and other financing sources, you spent $12,023,000. $4.9 million of this is to repay that FEMA loan proceeds that you did have in prior years, just repaying off that bond, giving you a net change of a positive $1,085,000, bringing that net position up from $3.5 million to $4.6 million. So moving along to your capital improvement fund, your total revenues and other financing sources, you collected $2.5 million, which of this was $1.1 million of ad valorem taxes, $475,000 of your fire district taxes, $760,000 of this was also a new debt issuance, which was to cover the fire truck, and a $200,000 worth of transfers. Your total expenditures was $897,556, and $693,000 that was spent on that fire truck, giving you a positive net change of right at $1.7 million, bringing that net position up to $3,067,000. So for the new fund for the fiscal year, there was a fire station number 2. Total revenues and other financing sources was the $5.6 million, and that's 100% debt proceeds. Your total expenditures, you spent $510,602 on that fire station this year, bringing a net change of $5,089,000. Bringing that position, net position also $5,089,000, which is left in that loan. So looking at the cash for each fund, your general fund, there was $68,418 of restricted cash, and that's 100% power bill funds that was unexpended. $11.5 million worth of general fund is cash for to spend as you will. Shoreline Protection Fund, $12.6 million available. Beach Maintenance Fund, there was $1.7 million, and that's all restricted. Capital Improvement Fund of $3,067,000, and that's available to spend at your will. And the Fire District Fund, again, this is that loan proceeds right at $5.4 million. So I've already mentioned the budget violation, and this will require a response from the town to be sent to the LGC, and that will require each of your signatures. It just happened in the past. However, it's just that transfer for the ARPA fund was not budgeted properly. So just want to make sure going forward that no matter if it's just a transfer from one fund to another, that's still considered an expense. So absolutely everything needs to be budgeted. And that's basically the presentation. Again, just you have 60 days to respond to the LGC with that finding, and just stating what you plan to do to mitigate that going forward.
Okay, thank you, sir. And questions from the board? It sounds like Alderman Grant, you have one.
You were talking about the cash position. Obviously, you don't forecast big projects we've got coming down, like our beach projects and everything else. So when you're looking at, you're just talking about cash available. And then under the beach fund, when you're showing the cash in there, that includes the money for phase 4, right?
Phase 4,
Beach project.
I do believe so, yes.
Okay, because I'm just looking at fund balances. And for example, and you hit on them later with the firehouse and all the future projects and stuff.
Right.
Because we've got the money coming in for the county, the $500,000 a year. That's why we didn't have to pay the $500,000 or the $5 million you've got in there for the firehouse.
Right.
Instead of having to do that right now as a capital project, we're basically using the county money to fund
Yes.
that, correct? Because that looks like about a wash between the two.
Yes, normally it is, yep.
Okay. And then just the thing that you talked about, the budget thing, there was no cash missing. This is just how we didn't have an amendment to move it from one fund to the other.
Correct.
We were just clearing out one fund, moving the cash someplace
Yes,
else. So you
yes.
accounted for the cash. It's the amendment to the budget that wasn't done.
Correct.
So it's
Yeah,
the
just
paperwork
moving the ARPA money into the general fund, and that was not properly budgeted only in the ARPA fund.
Okay, but it was basically, you track the cash is
Correct.
there. This is just about having a budget amendment that allowed us to transfer the cash.
Correct.
Got it, okay. If I'm signing it, I wouldn't understand it,
Yes,
so.
absolutely.
That's it.
Any additional questions?
So just to follow up on that, it's a documentation issue.
Right,
Correct.
Okay.
yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, sir, very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is the Onslow United Transit System, Danny Ferrucci.
And I received a message after we started the meeting that he had a family emergency,
Okay.
so he will not be able to attend this morning.
Okay. Then the next item would be the NCDOT Traffic Engineer Stonewall Mathis.
Hello. Thank you. When we last met, we talked about we would send a letter stating, our recommendation and some of the things we had looked at and so forth and what the next steps would be. And we sent that letter last week. And our recommendation for the speed limit on New River Inlet Road is 35 miles per hour, as it has been. That's subsequent to our 2 studies that we did in the winter and this past summer. And the next steps, we're hoping the town would be in agreement with that. And the next steps would be for the town to, bring that before the town and to sign off on a certification of municipal declaration to repeal speed limits and request for concurrence to drop that portion that is currently of New River Inlet Road that's currently 45 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour. Can I help with any?
Yeah, I'd like to
information?
open it up for board questions. So it sounds like what you've already made your recommendation, and the next step that you're asking the board to do would be to sign the certificate.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right, and Alderman Grant, did
Oh,
you
yeah.
have a question?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thanks, and basically all I'm trying to do is, as we talked about, is make sure the record is complete. As a follow-up to the last meeting, he sent me some other information, which I just gave you a copy of, as a summary. And so when you look at this, and we can put it in the record later, and this is stuff that you sent me. In '23, total crash rate was 143.45 per 100 million vehicle miles.
Yes, sir.
So 1.43 per million miles traveled on that section of road, correct?
Yes.
Right. So
That's right.
I'm just trying to get some, that, and I guess where I'd come and ask you is, we had the discussion before the request to take a look at this stuff in your visual, there was no statistics that would support changing the speed limit. There's no red light that kicked out at you guys and said, this is a problem, right? It's when you came in, you're using professional judgment, not numbers behind this thing, right? Isn't that that's what it's based on, right? Because the numbers don't, I'm not saying I don't support it, I'm just saying the numbers don't support it. Because I think what you presented last time was our professional judgment, we've ridden it, we've looked at the driveways, we've done this kind of stuff. We believe it should be that speed limit, based upon professional judgment.
So a thing that we look at is the 85th percentile speed, and that 85th percentile speed
Did not support.
does not support the 35. Okay,
Right.
but that's not the only thing we look at.
I understand that. I'm just looking at, what I'm trying to separate, Stoney, and I have no problem with what you guys did, is there's hard numbers that don't support it. There's professional judgment from your experience that does. Is
Yes.
that a fair way to put it?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I was saying, because I want to put this in the record, just whatever decisions made, okay? I was hoping there was hard numbers to do it, and, when you've got fatality rate of 0, it's probably not going down, all right? When you've got a crash rate of 1 per million miles traveled on that stretch of road, I hope it goes down, but I don't know how much it's gonna go down. Then I guess all I would say is, I'm assuming regardless of the decision, that you guys are gonna monitor it, because if the speed limit gets changed and the accident rate goes up, we have a problem, right?
That's definitely something we would look at, could look at, and would look at. If
And then my final question for, and I'm just trying to get the stuff in the record. The other thing is, my view on LSVs, all right? And my view on, once it gets to 35, if we don't stop those, because the accident rate on the island for areas of that road, and I'm talking in Surf City, they have LSVs on it, is the highest accident rate on the island. And I think that my reading of it, and you can disagree with, is when you introduce LSVs into the roadway, you change how accidents might occur, and you might have more. At least that's the stats I've seen from the state.
Well, I don't know the answer to what you said about, it was Surf City. Is that what you were just
Yeah,
saying?
that's the one I showed you last time, where, remember if you look at those lines and stuff, the 35 mile an hour, because Thompson got rid of it, and they're green on the stuff I showed you, right? The red area is Surf City, 35 miles an hour with LSVs.
Okay.
I'm just saying I'm just telling my view on this thing, and I'm only one person, is regardless of what the speed limit does, I don't like the idea of LSVs being on there, because that makes me nervous. So, that's all I
So
have.
with respect, I've addressed the 85th percentile, but with respect to the crash rate, I'll tell you, I don't know how that compares to other roads in the state, but we can get that and determine how that does compare to similar roads as far as that crash rate goes. When I see 23 crashes on a stretch of road, that is concerning. It's what is that crash rate? It's not 0, it's not 1, it's not 2. It's many crashes that have occurred along that stretch of
Before you
road.
leave that though, but isn't it the type of crash? If I've got a fender bender and there's a $10, it's a little thing. Because, look, the accident that started this discussion happened in the parking lot. not on the road, right, where the person was very badly hurt. So that's a horrible type of thing, but to me, the nature of the crash is just as important, right? I mean,
So
the
two
fact there's
things
no
that-
fatalities is a good sign.
So I would say it's both. It's severity and numbers,
Right.
sheer numbers of crashes and severity of
Right.
crashes. They both play in. And to address, I know we've talked about this before with the particular crash in the parking lot.
Right.
That, to my knowledge, that's not what prompted our review. We got a citizen request to look at the speed limit on New River Inlet Road, and we pursued that.
Okay. I appreciate you guys coming in. I just want to make sure, it's my background, I want to make sure the record's complete as to any decision we make.
Okay, Rick, I'm going to move on to additional board members. Does anybody else have any questions? Tom, you're lit up.
Yeah, in the time frame since you first came and spoke with us and briefed us on your findings and then came back and did the second traffic study, we've had a change up here, and the change is our legal representation. We have a new law firm representing the town, and what I would like the board to consider doing is to table this item until our recently hired legal advisors have the opportunity to review and advise the board concerning our options, and to provide us guidance regarding our rights as a municipality in this matter.
Can I just ask a follow-up on that, Tom? I'm assuming what that means, though, is that we would like to have it done as quickly as possible, so, I don't want to wait 6 months to come back and review a document. I mean, I'm fine with that as long as you tell us at our next board meeting, okay, we know what we're doing. So we're not dragging you guys back out here again for stuff, so.
We can get you information for at your next board meeting in January, and once we're done with this meeting, I'll touch base with the DOT representative and just make sure I'm up to speed. I think I understand everything from looking at the file here, but just to have a few follow-up questions that I can ask you kind of offline.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I agree that we want to move forward, but if it's not ready by next board meeting, that's all right. We've got an awful lot of stuff that we're tasking our new attorneys with. And in the list of priorities, while this is up high, it is not the highest priorities. So if it's not by January, I'm okay with that as long as it's not like in the summer.
I don't foresee a major issue here of getting up to speed and making sure you all are at least aware of your rights as a municipality, that we can get you some information. I've already kind of talked a little bit with Manager Darian about this, so I think it won't be a problem.
I just had a follow-on question about your professional evaluation. One of the things that we've seen on New River Inlet Road over the past 3 or 4 years is a tremendous amount of new home construction. And associated with that is a lot of large flatbed delivery trucks, box trucks, plus all the workers, contractors that are on the job site. Did you take that into consideration in terms of the increased congestion due to what we would consider sort of a building spree here on the island versus more normal times when we don't have all these contractors and building going on?
I would say not specifically, but we did come up here and do evaluations on site, ride the road and so forth. So if I can't say that was part of what we saw when we were out here, maybe it was, but we did not specifically look at that, but we would have been looking at the general traffic when we were up here looking around and so forth. I'd like to go back to that engineering judgment piece of things. Again, we've covered some of this before, but we looked at the horizontal alignment, so the curves. There's some curves out there. There's some bridges out there. We've got the propensity for pedestrians and bicyclists. We saw those. There's a relative elevated usage of that. If you were to compare that with other roads around, you get in those bridges. There's no outlet for a pedestrian or a bicyclist crossing that. They can't pull off the shoulder, because there's a bridge wall right there. The number of driveways, the number of side roads is relatively dense. Those are the factors. I don't know if I've named them all, but those are some of the things that we consider in that engineering judgment piece. So while there's not a hard number, I can't tell you the exact number of driveways that are up and down the road. I could go count them, but I don't have them readily. But when we ride that road and we look at it, that's part of, hey, this is a lot of driveways. This is a lot of side roads coming in here. We see the pedestrians, we see the bicyclists and so forth. So that's part of that decision, that engineering judgment to recommend the 35 miles per hour.
Would you consider putting a light right in front of my driveway?
So that brings up another point. You just said the bridges. The bridges were put in when the road was realigned back when Villa Caprian and St. Regis condominiums were built many years ago. Do you consider the fact that in some situations, like several of those bridges, to my mind, are obsolete and should be removed? There are oceanfront houses between the bridge and the frontal dune. How can we be building houses where there was a bridge 10 feet away? Those wetlands apparently have dried up and are no longer, the bridges are no longer protecting wetlands because there's construction right up on either side of the bridge in several cases. So does your group look at obsolete bridges and removing the bridge? Because just like you mentioned, there is the safety concern of pedestrians and cyclists coming together in a narrow space to cross the bridge versus having a more of a shoulder.
That's a good question. I would say, generally speaking, my unit does not look at removing obsolete bridges. There would be, I would think, several units that would come into play in that. Probably environmental. Is there a reason to leave the bridge in place? Granted, you've got the houses, but there's a chance. Is there a chance that the inlet would, or creek, whatever it was, would come back into play if we get a hurricane and then we've got the bridge there? I was with environmental for a while. I think that's part of the conversation, but that would be something to talk about with those folks. There's the expense piece of removing that bridge and putting back the roadway in its place if we were to remove the bridge. So if the bridge is functioning, structurally, then are we going to go in and spend those hundreds of thousands of dollars most likely to remove and put in a section of roadway back in the place of it? So there's all those questions, but that's something we could look at.
Mm-hmm.
So that bridge is also much stronger than the road. That's true.
Any additional questions? So it sounds like we've had a bunch of questions, but the only recommendation that I've heard so far came from Alderman Leonard, which was to basically just give our new legal counsel an opportunity to review this file and just make sure that we've explored all options and then determine about signing the certificate. Okay, and we're going to target our January meeting, but as Alderman Plennell said, if for some reason we have an issue, if you could just keep us posted with Ms. Darian. Is everybody in agreement with that? Anybody opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Excellent. Are we good to head out? Are we good to head out?
You are.
I don't know. Just want to make sure. Thank y'all.
Okay, so the next item would be our engineer, Mr. Franway, with our coastal report. Hey, Fran, how are you?
Good. How are you, Mayor?
I'm good. You're good to go.
Okay, I will start sharing my screen. And I'm just building on Alice's, she did a good job of covering and summarizing all the different projects that are going on. Here we have the December 2024 update. Just a quick overview of the beach and the different reaches of the beach. We have phase 1 up near New River Inlet, down to phase 5 near the Surf City town limit. Basically, when you come right onto the island, Highway 210, basically phases 1, 2, and 3 are on along New River Inlet Road, while phases 4 and 5 are along Island Drive. They all have, the town is planning, nourishment efforts. Either they've just happened, or they are happening here, or they're in the works. Up here in phase 1, as Alice mentioned, the core project is planned for this winter, and hopefully we'll start seeing some activity here in just a week or two and we'll get into these a little later. There is some town, the permitted, the town does have a permit in this area for about 50,000 cubic yards. We're probably going to modify this permit for the PTC 8 project that is coming up, and that is FEMA Potential Tropical Cyclone 8, PTC 8, and their mitigation. And this is, we're going to focus on phases 1 through 3, and it's at least 61,000 cubic yards. As Alice mentioned, we're still kind of in the beginning stages of this, but we can move forward with kind of permitting and RFP and everything. Phase 5 was completed and over the last couple seasons, and then the Phase 4 project is going to start. Its mobilization will begin tomorrow, and then we'll see when I'll let Alice know when active truck hauling will begin, and I'll be coordinating. I'll have an update today. I've basically been coordinating with Alice on a daily basis, so any information I get we're just passing information back and forth right now. Here's the core project that's happening probably in the next week or so. As Alice mentioned, it's starting kind of right here, and then moving down towards kind of beyond. And as the board mentioned, there's been varying success with these projects in the past, where sometimes there's really not much beach built at all, and other times it's a pretty nice beach that reaches down to the St. Regis. With this 88,000 cubic yards, we do think it will get past the villas, but then it probably will end somewhere around the Porpoise Place area. I talked with the dredgers earlier this week, and it's Southwinds Dredging. They're a good outfit, and I told them to really try to maximize beach placement as much as you can. We want that, and if they can kind of get additional volume on the beach, please do. And they replied and said, yeah, they'll try. They are still looking at that 88,000 cubic yards as kind of the goal, but they hopefully they can place a little bit more material and go a little farther south. This was the Phase 5 nourishment. It did really well, and it held up really well during the PTC 8 and all the other recent storms. It's still looking really good. And this is about the southern 3.5 miles of shoreline. And this is where the Phase 4 project will start. Here, I have this listed as a secondary truck access, but this is the one where they will start. They want the contractor has the flexibility to either go south to north or north to south, and they chose south to north. So here's the truck access is right here along the southern edge of the footprint, and then the northern truck access is the existing access at Beach Access 33 up here, just kind of as soon as you get onto the island. It's a beach nourishment primarily, but there were some dune losses here sustained from PTC 8, and we do have the flexibility to go and help out the dune areas that were scarped. And then this is the disposal area 143, the beneficial reuse and placement in the breach and phases 1, 2, and 3. Here's DA 143, and it's up, near the intercoastal waterway in Cedar Bush Cut. And the plan is to place, a significant amount of material, up to, anywhere between 1.9 to 2.6 million cubic yards of material along phases 1, 2, and 3. This is still kind of in the investigation stage, with permitting slated to begin here in the spring. And then with bidding, likely in the summer, and then, project construction, hopefully, a year from now. This is potential Tropical Cyclone 8. I'll just build on what Alice mentioned, and Alice is really staying on top of this. we're just kind of continuing this process. The town's been through this process many times, and this is just kind of another one. This is interesting where it does seem like the state and NC Emergency Management, NCEM, is really trying to take the lead versus a lot of times before it did seem like the FEMA staff were doing that. So it does seem better, and she's the NCEM staff have been very responsive to Alice, and then Alice feeds the information to me. And then I am working on, basically the permit modifications and kind of the RFP for the dune restoration, and we can get all that kind of in line, and because the goal is to mitigate this material in that dune by April, which is in this environmental window. So we do have a tight window, but it can be done, and that's the plan, and I think it's very doable. And then here's just some of the dune losses, and you can see the phase 1 and phase 2, they lost, the majority of material. Phase 3 did lose some material. We are going to be able to replace that material in the project that's happening now. And then phase 3 did lose some material as well. But so this is kind of the focus right here, and then this phase 3, we will kind of work on this environment. We can build this on the state grant, and then phase 5, that actually gained sand from potential tropical cyclone 8. So phase 5, it does not need any PTC8 mitigation. Just a quick update. The phase 1 shoreline will begin in mid-December and south winds. The New River Inlet Management Plan, I have been coordinating with Dial Cordy and with the Army Corps of Engineers. It does appear like this is moving forward. It is, and I will continue to try to get it to move forward as more quickly, and I will reach out to Dial Cordy this week to make sure that everything's still moving forward. The state grant in phase 4, the mobilization will begin as early as, it will begin tomorrow. And then the contractor has already, some of the equipment and things, they do have to reserve or rent, and they've already done that. But, obviously we're getting the contract. The contract was updated just last week, and the contractor's looking at it now, and the board will look at it here today as well. But that project, they have about 100,000 cubic yards of material stockpiled at the ST Wooten facility already, so it will be good. And as soon as they get started, they've got a lot of material already stockpiled. So it's going to start, and it's going to be kind of at full capacity immediately, which is good. PTC 8, we're focusing on 1, 2, and 3, and then 61 is kind of our minimum, but there is a potential that we could get a little bit more material. And then that will be we'll kind of work that out here in the next month or so. DA 143, that investigations are ongoing, and then I'll continue to work with the NTB finance officer and Alice especially. Kim's been doing a great job stepping in. And then, obviously DEC Associates, they've been helping us out. And then Alice also has that new contractor who's also been very helpful. And I'm just trying to help coordinate that and get all that in order. Grant coordination, we'll continue with that. And permitting coordination, that's obviously ongoing as well. And so that is my presentation.
Does anybody on the board have questions, Mayor Pro Tem?
I do. Fran, this is Mike. Couple questions. Do you have an idea back with DA 143 permitting when that one-stop meeting might occur? Because we were kind of thinking from BISAC that meeting would have already occurred by now. Can you give us any estimate of when it might happen?
I can't.
Okay.
I'll have to coordinate. I have been coordinating with TI Coastal, but it's mostly been on the phase 4 stuff. I don't
Okay,
know.
that's fine. The other question I had, you mentioned coordinating with Core and Dow Cordy on the EIS. Would you make a point with them, with Dow Cordy particularly, to get us a new timeline? Because Emily
Yeah.
Hughes with the Corps is concerned about exceeding the time limit for permitting, approving the draft EIS, and we would appreciate it if we could get an updated timeline on when Dow Cordy and the Corps might have that in place, so we know how long we have to request the extension of the draft EIS permitting process.
Mike, you might want to
Right.
you talk about
Okay,
that.
I will do that.
The EIS we're talking about here is the terminal groin project.
Potential.
Potential.
Any
Hardened
additional-
structure.
5 alternatives.
Okay, wait, I think Tom had his light on first.
It's not a terminal groin, it's a hardened structure.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, Fran, just a couple of quick questions. I'm looking at the dune losses under the PTC 8. So you've got 5 that picked up some. We've also got the Phase 4 state project, I call it grant project, going forward. So if we get to 16, I thought you said something about, and maybe I didn't hear you right, between 3 and 4. You said something about 3 would get, assuming you get the sand, 7,400 cubic yards, and then you would have to basically taper 4 into 3. Is that the way it works? Because if we lost phase 4 of 16.9, call it 17, in theory, that would be an addition to what phase 4 is getting under the grant, correct? Because we actually
Correct.
lost that. And then the follow-up is, I'm assuming we have to have permits to do this work?
Correct.
Does that make that part of the beach an engineered beach in 3 if you put sand down or not?
No, I mean, that will be, 3 will be dune. And so we will be the dune
Right.
and, you know. and-
That answers my question.
Right, sure.
Okay.
Any additional questions? No? Well, thank you, Fran. I appreciate your time today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing item E?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Okay, then the next item is going to be new business. We don't have anything under continuing. So this would be the election of our mayor pro tem for this year coming up in 2025. And I'm going to ask for a nomination or a motion.
I would nominate Tom Leonard as mayor pro tem.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. There you go. Congratulations, Tom. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, and then we get to go on to this very fun topic of all the different committees that we sit on. So we're going to try and make this as painless as possible. Okay, so we're just going to go one at a time. We can say who's on them now, and then if you'd like to say, or if there's somebody else who has interest in it. The first one is BISAC, which is the Beach Inlet Sound Advisory Committee.
Can I make a suggestion, Mayor? Everybody, if you click on the Alderman liaison assignments, because what I've done in my thing doesn't tell, that tells you actually who's on it right now.
I don't have my
Is that what you're
laptop
using?
today. No, that's why I was asking, because I don't have my laptop today.
You want one?
No, that's okay. If you want to read out the names to me, that'd be
Okay.
great.
All right, so.
For BISAC?
Yeah. Hang on. So Alice is still the town manager, I'm sorry. That's not an assignment. Let's see. Can I go in the list here? Okay, BISAC is Mike and me.
And are you both interested in staying on that committee?
Definitely.
Yeah, okay.
And we
Is-
also need to Oh,
Yeah, we're not talking about the other committee
No, I
members
know.
right now, just the
All
board.
right, second one is the CIP committee, which is Grant and Plettle.
Okay.
Yes, I like this guy.
Rick?
Is that the
you
conference
go.
I'm saying? Laura said she wanted to do that. I'm fine with that.
So are we suggesting switch out Laura with Rick?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we were gonna switch her out with Connie, but okay. That's
Parking
fine.
committee?
Leonard and Plettle.
I'd like to stay.
Connie, you too? Okay.
Parks and Recreation, no interest over here.
I would like to, I
The
believe,
mayor and then Connie.
it's,
Sorry.
it's Connie, am I think I'm on there
Yep,
too,
you
right?
are.
Yeah, you
Yeah, I
are.
would like to stay on there.
Me too.
All right, revetment, mayor and Connie.
I would like to stay.
Me too.
Pro Tem we just did. Alderman check signatories, we've got Laura, me, and Tom. I'll stay on that because I'm 3 minutes away from here, so I'm kind of the fallback on that one.
I'd like to
You
stay too.
have checks,
I'm
And
coming-
that's a separate item, we
you
have
have
that down.
checks signatories as a separate item.
Yes,
Okay.
let's skip
All
that
right.
one for now.
Okay,
I have the next one I have is Greater Topsail Area Chamber of Commerce.
that's you.
Okay.
Do you want help with that or a backup?
Yeah, I would like to back up with that.
I'll be a backup.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Laura. And
If we're
then,
doing, lawyer, if we're doing consensus, we're fine with this. We don't need to do motions, right? If the consensus, to add Laura as a backup, we don't have to do. like,
No, you can do,
formal
you
motions,
can do
right?
this by consensus. If you really wanted belt and
I just want to
spinners,
make
you
sure we
could
didn't
do
get to
a.
the end of this and now we gotta
Yeah.
do 15 motions.
No, I
and
think you,
stuff.
if you wanted belt and spinners, you could do a motion
Yeah,
to
no,
recognize it,
don't-
but no,
don't-
consensus is fine.
Byways is Tom.
hold on. Yes, byways, we have
Yeah,
Tom.
and my term on the board of directors was just renewed for another 2 years during the annual conference last month.
So
We should
you're
probably
good
remove
staying?
him there to
Yes.
Screw him up.
Okay.
No,
What's that?
So we should remove you to screw those guys up and then they gotta reappoint you. No, I'm fine with that.
And I have Onwasa next, Rick, and I
Yeah.
think you're on there
Yeah.
and I'm on as your backup.
Yeah, I'd like to do that because I'm gonna push to get that tank in,
Okay.
for us.
And I'd like to stay as
So
your
everybody
backup.
understands, we're looking to put a water tank in the
Yeah.
north end to get rid of the water pressure issues on the island. Cause this thing out here is not gonna do it, so.
And then I have Onso County Board of Commissioners. I think I have Rick and
Yeah, I
Laura.
like that one. You wanna stay as an alternate, Laura?
Yeah.
Okay. Jacksonville Urban Area Metro Jumpo is, Laura and Connie is the alternate.
Yeah, we can keep that.
Connie, do you want to stay on that one?
Sure.
TISPC is Mike and Tom.
yeah, I'd like to
You
stay.
guys still on that one?
Yeah,
And that was my point here. We also need to officially or unofficially continue Larry Strother as the
Right,
third
but that's
member.
not part
That's
of
not here
this.
What to do that this year. Camp Lejeune is Tom and Laura.
yes,
NC Coastal Resource Commission, CRC, is
I
you
believe that,
and Connie. Connie's the alternate.
I do not want to stay on that if somebody else wants that.
Connie, do you want to be the permanent one?
I'll
on that?
go up to the primary if anybody wants to be an alternate, that's all right. If you don't want to.
How many meetings is that a month?
I don't even think it's monthly. I think it's more like,
as needed. We haven't,
yeah.
I mean, I can be
It's
your
like
backup on it if you want me to be
quarterly.
a backup.
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah,
one up in New
quarterly.
Bern?
yeah, it's,
That's
And
what they
some of
meet-
them were
they
Zoom.
meet every different
I
location.
mean, I don't mind being her backup if you need a backup.
Thank you, Rick.
I didn't really want to be in another set of meetings, so. Army Corps of Engineers, shallow draft EIS is the mayor and Mike. I'm fine with
See that
that.
one on here.
But it also says down here, it's always the mayor and the mayor pro tem, so am I sliding into
So
that?
you
Where
should,
did
Actually, it says Pyrotem, but
Oh, you're
okay.
looking at a
So-
chart.
it does.
so yeah, you should take
Mm-hmm.
that.
All right,
Okay.
so you want that one, Tom?
Yep.
Okay.
Be picking your brain a lot, Mike.
And then the Greater Topsail Community Alliance
Um,
is the mayor with Connie as an alternate.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. We might want to make that Tom as mayor pro tem. That's when I get together just to chat with Surf City and Topsail Beach and Holly Ridge.
Okay, right now Connie's the alternate, so
Yeah.
Connie, you're gonna let Tom do that one?
I'll let Tom do that one, I'll continue to be the alternate.
Okay.
Well, I'm the primary
Oh.
on that one, so it would just be me and Tom.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And then state and federal is, the mayor is the primary and state is Laura and federal is Tom. Just leave it like it is? Okay.
I would like to see Tom be the state representative because He has carried the Cobra issue to Washington, and he also has a very good working relationship with our state representatives in Raleigh, and is aware of some of the issues that our Allen faces, given his long history as an Allen resident. So I think that Tom should be our state and federal
Yeah,
liaison.
I think it should be the mayor and the mayor pro tem.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's
As long as you're okay with it, Laura.
Yep.
All right, we're good.
Okay, so then, well, that was
Yep,
good this year.
excellent.
Okay.
Did somebody write it all down?
I do, I have it all written down.
That's what we're recording too.
And then, so the next item would be C, which is the appointment of the 3 check signatories. So I know we've got Rick and Tom right now, and Laura
right.
is the third one.
I'm fine to keep it that way.
Is there anybody else that's interested in it as well, other than them?
I don't mind doing it if somebody, if there's a, because I just,
You
of
wanna
course,
be an
we all
alternate?
live down the road. So I can be
Can we
on
do
there
an
as an
alternate on that?
alternate.
How does that set up? 'Cause you'd have to set up everybody's. You can't, the alternate would have to have checked signing it. I don't have any problem making it 4. I just don't know if it's an alternate, you'd still have to have the signatory on it.
Alice, do you have a preference?
Sorry, I'll hang up then.
It would be preferable to keep it at 3.
So that's Rick, me, and Tom? Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, then the next item on the agenda is D, which is building envelopes and setbacks with Alderman Grant. This is your topic.
Yeah, I would like to move that after the closed session, because I'd ask some questions of council that we need to get briefed on before I make my presentation, if that's okay.
We didn't make that motion when we modified the agenda to start with. Is there any issue, council, moving that?
No, if he's making his request in the form of a motion, I
move
think he
that.
can, I think you all can agree by the motion to move that to after the closed session.
Okay. So that's your motion?
That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, then we have our second open forum. Do we have anybody signed up for that one?
Yes. Mark Barefoot, 246 Sandpiper Drive.
All right, microphone's already on. Again, Mark Barefoot, 246 Sandpiper Drive. Thank you all for what you do. Just wanted to quick say thank you for allowing us to host the 24 Ryan Hansen Memorial Gobble Wobble. We weren't overwhelmed. We weren't underwhelmed. It went very well. Big thanks to the organizer from last year, Kelly Burrich, Wendy from the town with the special permitting, Amy and Ann of Salty Turtle Run Club for actually doing the real work of doing the race. I know that was fast, and thank you for your time, but the controlled chaos, I think, is better than what would have been uncontrolled chaos. We probably had 50 or 60 people that showed up with their own T-shirts, and we're going to do their own 5K here, there, and everywhere. So it went really well, and we look forward to doing it next year. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
Pam Thomas, 2240 New River Inlet Road.
Pam Thomas, 2240 New River Inlet Road. I just have a couple of clarifications. There is, we had wrote to the town manager because our parking lot at the end of Building 8 is eroding, and we were told that the only thing we could put there was sandbags. My question is, there are a couple of homes in between St. Regis and the Reef that are putting up some kind of structures for their dunes. So one of them is like wood, and they're using metal sheets. So that's a question why they're allowed and we were not allowed. And the other question, the clarification on the beach, project, is it 30 days working days, or is it 30 days from the time they begin? Because we have our sandbag project coming up, so we don't want a conflict.
So I think I can easily answer the first one, Alice, and I think it would be good for everybody to hear this. I think you had mentioned in your manager's report that DCM would be getting in touch with anybody who's had some issues down there on the beach, as I'm assuming it will handle the parking lot as well as anything that's happened in Dolphin Shores that they may or may not be able to do.
Okay.
So I think,
Tell her who DCM is.
I'm sorry, that's CAMA. Yeah. And
Correct,
then,
so will they
It's the
stop
state.
them from doing the?
I don't have the letters, so I don't know.
You know, because we asked if we could do that, and we were told no. And so that's why, you know, the owners are questioning
Where
why.
specifically are you saying that?
It's, I don't know the exact number of the house, but they have like a wooden frame and then they have metal sheets that they're trying, yeah.
And as far as the, so we'll follow up. But as
Okay.
far as the sandbag project, Alice, I don't know if that's on your radar. I wasn't aware you guys were doing more sandbags.
No, we're just trying to put some more because it's necessary. It's like a maintenance of ours to keep it, the back line. So, yes.
Again,
Okay.
that would be something that you would coordinate with
CAMA.
CAMA on
Yes.
permitting.
Yep. We know that. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Okay. So I'm just gonna keep us moving here. So the next item would be the attorney's report.
Nothing to report in open session.
Okay. And from a mayor's report, I just wanted to thank everybody for all the work that has gone into the holiday party that happened here with the tree lighting. That was wonderful. And as well as all of the work that everybody has been doing with the storms that we've been hit with back to back and all the coordination that we're trying to pull together to help everyone that's out there. For Alderman's report, I'm going to start with Alderman Grant.
Just briefly, obviously went to the county meetings, the new county commissioners got sworn in. I reminded Tim when they talk about, we want to be the best coastal county and community in North Carolina. I reminded him and Lisa, the other one, that I'm pretty sure we're your coast. So maybe you got to be doing some more for us. And they've been working with us, and I think that'll work out fine. And then just Merry Christmas. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving and appreciate the work that she has done. As I said before, I thought the Army Corps dredge project was dead. Reaching out and doing that, thank you very much, because that's a bunch of sand we would not have gotten. So thank you.
Alderman Ostrowski.
I just wanted to say I had the pleasure of attending at Camp Lejeune the 249th Marine Corps Ball. That was very exciting, and I enjoyed that event. Happy to be part of that community and be on that committee. For those of you that are new to the community, please know that we do stream these meetings and that also you can look at the full agendas online. And then if you go into the project section on our website, you can see detail of the projects, because we're getting new residents that are uninformed that you can see all this online and in projects. And if you have questions about our website, please feel free to call town and someone can tell you where to find the information you're looking for. And Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you all for showing up. Good crowd today. Interest in town activities and matters. We appreciate your participation in our meetings. I'm going to second or third or fourth the praise I have for our town manager in pulling off that Army Corps project, because they really were threatening to pull the plug, and they'd already surveyed Onslow Beach to switch that dredging project over to the Marine base. And the town manager was able to last minute it's kind of a Hail Mary. You kind of think of Harlem Globetrotters doing a hook shot from mid-court, and it swishes through, but it happened.
It was full court action.
So thanks a lot, Alice, for your work on that.
Thank you, Alice.
This is the last time I'm going to call you Alderman Leonard.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. I want to also, I guess, third or fourth now, the hard work for everything that the town manager and her staff are doing, the tree lighting, and especially all the work on the beach and with all the erosion we've had. And it was not a Hail Mary. She gained ground a yard at a time, and she started at about the 2-yard line before she got that ball into the end zone. Okay? And she worked hard to do it, and during his presentation, the man from the Corps of Engineers down at the Byways Conference had actually said Onslow Beach in his presentation was where that sand was going. And we both looked at each other like, wait a minute, and that was, that he said Onslow Beach, and I don't think it was a fraudulent slip at all. And I mean, that's how close, Rick, this thing was to going there.
And that's a top engineer for that.
Yeah. I want to provide a little bit of a COBRA update here. There were 2 bills. There was one that was a technical correction for Barton Bay that took 2.5 acres out. That was actually approved by the Congress and Senate, will be approved and written into law. Okay. Our bill for the rest of the town, House Resolution 2437, is still awaiting further action. This time of year, it may or may not go any further. The issue is still going to be a Senate that may or may not pass it if it gets through Congress. And to that end, I've already been in communication with Congressman Murphy's office, and we're already in a process working with them to draft the language for a bill to drop as soon as the next session goes if this thing dies. So we're leaning as far forward on this thing as we possibly can, and we're going to get this done. I did attend the Byway Annual Fall Conference. I presented 2 awards, 2 of the association's annual awards. The first was posthumously to former Mayor Steve Smith from Topsail Beach. He received the Unsung Hero Award, and the second award went to former Congressman Mike McIntyre, who's been serving as our lobbyist, who received the Hero of the Coast Award. And he was very, very honored and very touched, and it was a little bit of an emotional moment. The last thing I have finally is that, and this is unrelated to our town but related to beach towns, I'd like to congratulate my cousin, Corey Byland, who was sworn in last night as the mayor of Neptune Beach, Florida. Welcome to small government, and enjoy the roller coaster ride. And that concludes my report.
I agree with everything that my fellow alderman had to say, and to keep the sports analogies going, Alice did a great slap shot goal. I want to tell everybody to have a very Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year.
Thanks, everyone. Now, what I'm looking for is a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Thank you all. Okay, the board is back from our closed session, and there was some discussion that I'm going to turn over to Alderman Grant.
I think you wanted to say first, no decisions have been made.
Just really quick, do we have a motion to come out of closed session?
Motion to come out of private, or closed session?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
we're
you.
out.
And I think you were going to say, Mayor, no decisions were made during that as well.
No, right.
So I had an agenda item on here relating to the issue about construction within, I'm going to call it the CAMA setback, the 60-foot rule, and whether those things, how we ought to be handling that. That is something that this board has been talking about for years. I think we've gotten a lot of feedback from constituents about what's going on building-wise and everything else. I think that we're getting ready to put hundreds of millions of dollars into the beach. We've got to protect environmentally and everything else, the beach, the dunes and everything else. And so what I would like to ask the board to do by consensus, and I think our council can help me on this as well, is that we'd like to direct the planning board, okay, to take a look at construction done within that area, within the setback, the CAMA setback, which I think is either 60 feet or depending on the other stuff, but be specific, and then come back with specific recommendations as to any construction that can be done within those areas. Is that?
So Alderman Grant, I believe the motion would be to direct the planning board to propose changes to your ordinances that address construction within the setback that you're referring to for the purposes of environmental concerns and public health and safety related to beach erosion. Is that correct?
Yes, I think you said it perfectly.
So we have a motion?
I have a motion to do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. One more motion. Alderman Leonard, do you want to do it?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Well,